In January, my name is Sam Hanna, I'm chief of police here. And when Ron Arnold took the job as mayor, first of the year, he asked me to be his chief. And one of the first things I talked to him about was starting a neighborhood watch, starting a senior citizens group to go out and take care of our senior citizens, and to have the same group go out and work with the young people of the community. I think it's very important to realize that this is your neighborhood. This town is your neighborhood. It doesn't end at the end of the block. It doesn't end downtown. Madison County is approximately 450 square miles. So we need to take pride in the Elwood city limits. We do have a meth problem here. We do have a drug problem. I think it kind of like goes back to the days of when I first came on the sheriff's department in '74. Child molest, child abuse, you wouldn't think it didn't exist. And it's not that it didn't exist, it was just no one was talking about it. And now, it's a big deal because we are talking about it. It's making publicity. You're realizing the people who you thought one day you could trust, maybe you can't trust them. There's always a hidden agenda. So Neighborhood Watch is more than just checking your neighbor's house when they're going on vacation. And if you see a car you don't recognize, you call the police. Neighborhood Watch is knowing your neighborhood. An example, I went to detective school back in the late 70s, early 80s. Excuse me. And it talked about that a mom and pop store had been robbed. And the owners of the store had been murdered and found by a local distributor that morning that was bringing milk into the store. Well, the police officers came around 9, 10 o'clock and covered the robbery and had no leads whatsoever. They stayed there all day collecting evidence, talking to people, and had no more information when they left than when they came to the robbery. A young detective got to thinking that he had learned during the day as he was investigating, this store would normally open at 6 o'clock in the morning. That the proprietor would come 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning to open up. And they would, whatever they were going to do, they would be doing at that time. So the next morning, around 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, police officer pulls up, sits in his police car and just watches. He sees the milkman coming. He sees the paper boy tossing the papers. He sees the trash people picking up trash. So he starts going over and talking to these people who are out, familiar with that area that time of morning. He finds out that there was a light green car sitting in this particular spot that had not been there the day before the robbery and didn't come back the next morning, and was not there during the investigation. The detective goes over and he finds 5 cigarette butts because he was told by someone in the trash truck that there was a gentleman leaning up against that car smoking cigarette after cigarette after cigarette. So as he collected cigarette butts, took them in, got them analyzed, DNA pointed to the suspect. and arrested the man. He admitted to the robbery and to the murders. The point I'm trying to make is, you know your neighborhood. You know if this car belongs there or not. You know if this guy walking in your neighborhood day after day around the time the school bus is letting kids off belongs there or not. You know if there's a car sitting in your neighborhood's driveway if it belongs there or not. And it's when you see these things that you need to call the sheriff's department. Now, I do not like the way we dispatch our officers now because we lost our dispatch center. I understand whether we like it or not, by 2015, all dispatching is going to be done from two centers here in Madison County. So we moved when we did just to keep up the other departments and keep things current. I don't like you having to walk into the police department, hitting a buzzer, and having to talk to someone in Madison County to have a dispatch to an officer that might be 2 blocks away from the police department to come see you. But what it is what it is. But be assured I'm working every day to make that a little bit better. But until then, that's what we have to do. So, if you see something in your neighborhood, you need to call 642-0221. That's the Madison County Police Department Dispatch Center, and they in return will send a call to your area while you're making that call. If you call the 552-3376 number, who knows where you end up. You could be leaving me a message that I may never get, or whoever else you might leave a message for. I'll tell you a story that about a month ago, I was told that since we switched over and we have this new calling system, that we lost over 1,000 calls coming into the 552-3376 number, because at one time there was like 5 or 6 different extensions that calls would go to. Now we're down to 3. And so these calls are going to no man's land and just ending in a dark hole. And by accident, they found them. And the only explanation that the clerk treasurer could tell us is if you happen to get some, they were trying to sort through these calls and from where they're supposed to go. So if I was to check my voicemail and get 15, 20 calls that I had not gotten before, as I call the people, just apologize, I'm calling them a month later after getting the message. So the 642-0221 number will go right to the dispatch, and they will send a call. Now, another whole aspect to this neighborhood watch is these gentlemen here. Merrill and Albert are probably 2 of the nicest men I've met. And they come anytime I call and ask them to. But I don't think they're going to do very well responding to a call and chasing 15 or 16-year-old zebra running down the railroad track.
Not unless I got autism with me.
But,
Before you get it back.
so that's why I've split our reserve force into 2 groups. One is a group that would be the young officers that hopefully, as we regenerate our department, rehire people, or fill in the slots as people retire, or maybe add an additional officer or 2. That'd be the group hopefully I'll get to pick from because of their work ethic and their education and trying to get guys that will meet the needs of the Elwood Police Department as well as this neighborhood. The other group is gentlemen like Albert and Merrill that will go out and we're going to work with the public and help educate them. Help them learn what to do when they find a syringe, how to better secure their homes, what to do when you get those phone calls that if you give the wrong information, will steal from you until you have no more money to give. We hopefully will educate you to where you get these calls, you do like I did the other day and hang up on the guy after saying a few adjectives along with it. we are being taken advantage of, and we need to protect what belongs to us. So I'm going to turn the meeting over here to Merrill and to Albert. And I want you to listen as they explain to them what they are doing now in the early stages of this program, and maybe what you can do to help us.
Thank you, Chief. What we've done is we've decided to split Elwood up into 4 quarters. These 4 quarters will be from the intersection of Main and Anderson Street up at CVS. We'll have the northwest quarter, the southwest quarter, which includes this area here, the northeast quarter, and the southeast quarter. Within those quarters, you're going to have to split it up into sections, because the quarters are, they're pretty good size. So what we'll have sections, and in these sections, we'll have team captains. Now, these team captains will their responsibility will be to, say, call meetings of their section and have us to come out and talk to the people. And the captains will be responsible for having their people say Mark is the captain for this section here, which might include from South J Street to South P Street. Okay, if you see a problem, you would call Mark. Then Mark would know what to do right away. Mark would call over at the dispatch, or call 911, or get a hold of one of us, and we could help tell them what to do. But first, we've got to educate the people on why we need a crime watch program. I have kind of a little thing right here I'm going to go over with. And, the chief was telling you about taking care of your homes. We're going to try to get brochures like this, how to protect your homes and your garden. As soon as the chief gets some money and he can spend it, we'll get these brochures, and we'll try to get them out to the public. I got a good brochure here from the Sheriff's Department on drug abuse. I mean, if you look at this book, there's a lady in here that was a very pretty lady, and she started on that methamphetamine, and, well, I got a picture of her.
Age 50 years.
Oh my gosh, they aged so much. Here she is. It says, how sexy is this? I don't know if you can see her, but she was a very, you see that, she very attractive. Look at her teeth down there now. Look at her face and teeth. Detective Brizendine puts on a real good program on methamphetamine, which hopefully we'll have that again sometime.
Once we get going, we will have a couple demonstrations like that throughout the city.
You guys can look at this book before you go, but it's the program on meth. If you see it, how anybody can put that in their body, I'll never know. Can you, Chief? How they can put that in their
I've
body?
already said, I don't see why they would put something in their body they wouldn't put on their body.
Right now we've got 6 on this Crime Watch program that works with me and Albert. Stan Albee, of course, he's part of it. We have a lady named Cindy Jessup, who me and her went around today, and right now we're getting businesses signed up, because we're doing late night checks, and me and Albert have already started the late night checks on the businesses, and it's funny, but we found some doors open on these businesses that we went to. So we're getting the names of the people and having them fill out a form, and Cindy's gonna start us up a spreadsheet, which will have their addresses and who we can call if we see a door open and things like that, so that's gonna be pretty nice. We have a guy named Paul Walther, who is a reserve, and another one named Randy Dunn, so there's 6 of us right now. Albert and I went and talked to the Carmel and the Fishers Police Department, and they were very informative to us on Neighborhood Crime Watch, told us what to look for. So starting a neighborhood watch. Are you worried about crime in your neighborhood? Well, of course we're all worried about crime in our neighborhood. A neighborhood watch can help reduce crime. Why start a neighborhood watch? Crime can shatter a neighborhood. We all know that. You can see that in the big cities especially, you see that. We don't want that happening in Elwood. We don't want Elwood to be a big city. Crime could create a climate of fear and mistrust. People may withdraw into their homes or lose contact with others. As isolation increases, as people stay in their homes and stuff, so does crime. And crime thrives in neighborhood where neighbors keep to themselves. How to start a neighborhood watch. Meet with your neighbors, just like we're doing now. And we need to have a lot more meetings like this. Share your concerns about crime. Inform your local law enforcement. If you see something happen, get a hold of us. That's what the law enforcement's for. And let your other neighbors know that you plan to form a watch like this. This won't take long. I don't have only about 30 pages. How to start a neighborhood watch. Make a plan. This young lady over here started your plan right there. So now we can keep it going. Define your territory. That's what we're talking about. We know what our territories are going to be. Now we've got the quarters. Now we need to define it into sections. And we'll do that. Set priorities. What do we want to look for? What do we want to get? What's your biggest concern? Elect officers. We'll get your little area, your little section here, and then you can elect officers and decide who you want as a captain. You want to decide, you want to have somebody that's very responsible, that you can report to and know that he's going to get a hold of us. And divide up tasks, and you don't need to select a group name. It's going to be Elwood Crime Watch anyway.
Are you the captain?
Look out for suspicious activity. For example, a strange vehicle, like the chief was saying, a strange vehicle repeatedly driving slowly through your neighborhood. And when you see it, you can see their head going from side to side. Strangers going door to door. That's one thing I just don't like. I don't like a stranger coming up to my door. I want to make sure I know what they're doing when they're coming up there. And if you see strangers at a house removing property, such as, I don't know, siding or anything like that, you know that they shouldn't be doing that. Knowing how to report your suspicions. When describing people to the police, try to give their physical description, including their sex, race, approximate height, size, and age, and their direction of travel. And here's one of your best ways of getting a lot of that. If you've got that, keep that close. I keep it right by my bed. So if I hear something, I jump up and land. This is great. I end up seeing this way. You know, if you see a person from here down to the end of the alley, you grab one of these, you're going to be able to see them a lot better than what you are. When describing vehicles to the police, try to get their license plate number and state. This could help a lot too, right here. Try to get the make, model, and color. I can't tell one car from the other. I can tell a color pretty good, but if you tell me it's a 2012 Dodge Caravan or something, I'm lost. You know, I'm lost. But at least if you can get a color and you might know what the kind of vehicle is, that'll help. And if there's any damage or outstanding characteristics in the car, that's very important. Yeah. Hey, he's got a right tail light busted out. Hey, they got a right front fender that's dented in. That's a big, big help. I was in the car the other day, and they got a call on a car that was speeding or something, and they were concerned about it, and they said that they had, on this car, it had a right rear, what do they call on the tire? Hubcap, yeah, right rear hubcap missing. And it wasn't 10 minutes later that police officers had them stopped. And that was great. That was great because that was a characteristic that, you know, there's not too many cars got a right rear hubcap missing. Targeting specific problems, report drug activity, and never confront anybody on your own. Don't do that. You see what happened down in Florida, what went on down there. The neighborhood watch guy got a little overbearing and he shouldn't have done it, and now he's in a lot of trouble. So you need to report this to the police. Don't try to take anybody on yourself. You know, you can organize anti-drug routes. And you can, and report vandalism and paint over graffiti right away. You know, nobody wants to see graffiti on there. You can call us, we'll look at it and then get it painted over. This is what we're doing for the businesses. Albert and I, we have cars and we're going out with a couple of the others, and we're having to fill this out. It tells us, you know, what your business is, where you're at. The main thing is down who has the keys to the building, in case we get there and the door's open, the window's busted, something like that, we can call them right away. It tells the people to come out and take care of it. After we check the business, we put this on it. It says a business check form. It would have our number, like 103 checked by 103 Taylor or 104 McPherson, when we checked it and what time. We were out checking businesses, was it Monday night, Albert?
Yeah.
Monday night, and we went by the new McDonald's. Door wide open. We didn't see anybody. Didn't see anybody in there. So I said, well, Albert, I'll go in and check it and see what's happening. I think he was a big chicken. I think
Yeah, I wouldn't go. No hamburgers in there, I'm not going in.
No Happy Meals.
So I went up to the door and I said, you know, anybody in here? This is the police. Is anybody in here? And here comes this guy's head pops up. He said, yeah, we're in here working. There was 3 of them in there, and they were, I think they were putting plug-ins or something on the wall. And you couldn't see them. And so I talked to them, and they said, really, thank you very much for doing this. They said, thank you, because, you know, we could have left, and we're leaving a bunch of equipment in here, good equipment. Well, Mark knows what it's like to leave good equipment in here, and, you know, somebody could come in and stole it. So they were thankful for it. So I guess it does help to have this. But the Crime Watch program is very big. It's going to be very big. We're just in the infant stages of it. This is the first meeting we had. I'm glad to see this many people turn out. I'm glad to see Al here filming it. He'll get it on elwoodindiana.org, and so there'll be a lot of people see that. So the chief and the mayor is very high on it. I was high on it when I was the mayor. My problem was I had nobody who would come and say, hey, we'll help you out there. And that's when the new mayor got in. I said, hey, I'll help you out there. Yeah. So Sam came and asked me if I would stay on as a reserve, and I had thought about getting on. And I said, well, I don't know. And he said, well, I'd like for you to help get this up. And I said, fine, I will. And then I was very appreciative of Sam coming and asking me to do that. So I'm very happy with it. Albert, you got anything you want to say?
Well, we need people in the neighborhood to keep an eye out, because like you've got a neighbor and all once there's a pickup truck in there loading up TVs and furniture. If I drive by, if Merrill drives by, if Sam drives by, we just see a truck loading furniture. You see that all the time. We don't know it's a theft, but you know your neighborhood. So if you see something like that, don't go over there and say anything to the people moving. Call 642-0221. Tell them, hey, they're moving furniture out, and those people aren't moving. And when you do call, don't get mad, because if you say there's something going on at Parkview, we had that say the other night. A guy said there's some teenagers smoking pot by Parkview Nursing Home. The dispatcher over there is not from Elwood. So right away they asked the person, what's the address? Well, the person blew up. I don't know the address, you know. Well, all you have to say is, Elwood officers know where it is. And the dispatcher say, okay, fine. If you say Callaway Park, one time we had a call, they said Callaway Park. The dispatcher said, well, what's the address? Nobody in Elwood knows the address of Callaway Park, but everybody in town knows where it's at. So when you call and you get a person not from Elwood, you say, well, everybody knows where it is. Don't get mad and hang up and cuss out the dispatcher and all that. You know, that's their job, to find the location. A lot of times you don't know the location, but you know the name. So, that's why we need people in the neighborhood to keep an eye on the neighborhood.
I'm the only one, I'm probably the oldest one in the neighborhood. That's at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, but for almost 35 years I worked night shift. And sometimes all night shift. So my body is still on night shift. So I see many different things that have come down. And I'm the last street in the city limits on Elk Lane, right back to the dollar store to go down there west. And you would be surprised to see that's the last street where you can go back into the town with. And there's a couple of houses that I've watched. But unless I've really seen them, and I have before, and I have called.
Well, you know, one of the biggest problems that we have is people will see something and they'll think it's going on, and a lot of people want the police department to do something right away, and they can't do something right.
And they say, "Are you sure, ma'am?" And it's because I'm lightheaded now. But, I have all my faculties, and I can hold that.
This one, that I call it glass
There's
Travis.
nothing wrong with white hair.
I think, in the last 5 months I've been here, my white hair has increased.
Probably increased more, like I said, there's things in the last week I seen when this man was at work, and I thought, how much traffic am I gonna see going in there before I say something?
Well,
I told her not to stand in front of the window so they could see her.
I look out that people on that.
here's some things I'd like for you to think about. First of all, before we leave today, someone, please document everybody's name, address, and phone number, and give it to either Albert or Merrill. And what they would do is, as it's being documented, they will kind of see what section of town you live in. And then what they may do is, if someone lives, let's say, in the southeast quadrant, they may call you and say, would you mind having a neighborhood watch meeting at your home, and maybe invite 10 couples from your neighborhood, so we can start another neighborhood watch there. But we have to start somewhere, and that's why we're here today. So to identify who you are, where you live, and how to contact you, would you please start a list around? And don't write like I do, write legible. So if you would, please print. I mean, you go to one of these closings, when you close on a house, I ask them, which one's the most important, because that's one you're going to be able to read, to be the first one. Because as I go down to the stack, I get lazy and sloppy. So, if you would, please start a list. Second of all, I'm going to ask, by your telephone or somewhere where you can get to it, keep a pad of paper and pencil. If you see something, write it down. It's a lot easier to remember if you've written something down. You got to remember that if you say, honey, come see what I see, well, you may both not see the same thing you're looking at. What might be blue to someone might be more of a purple to another. What might be square to one may look round to another. But if you get the basics down, write it down. When you're looking at license plates, I wish it would be back to the old days where it'd be 48C Charles 9221. But now you got everything. You got Army plates, Navy plates, Notre Dame plates, you got God We Trust, truck plates. I mean, all kinds of different. And you're going to have a dispatcher ask you, when you give the numbers, well, what kind of plate was it? So, my suggestion, familiarize yourself as you're driving around. Look at license plates. Kind of, it's okay, that's a teacher's plate. Or that's a God We Trust plate, or that's a fireman's plate, or that's an FOP plate. Just kind of familiarize yourself, so when you look at it quickly, because you may only get one look at it. And again, one of the great things of today is this thing right here. Take a picture. I just came from a chief's school, and they said, remind your officers, behave yourself, but there's always somebody watching. You might find yourself on Channel 6 News. Or
YouTube.
Or YouTube. So, but this is a great tool, seriously. If you see something, take a picture of it. Communicate. That is the biggest asset to this program. Communication. You can have all the knowledge in the world of what's going on. If you don't share it, it's going to stay right there in between the here. Please share it. You might find yourself in court someday, but that's okay. I've testified thousands of times, and it doesn't get any easier. I get just as nervous as I did back in '73 when I testified my first murder trial. But realize, you are the most important person in your neighborhood, each and every one of you.
Once this really gets established and, you know, on the road and everything, are you going to be patrolling these areas,
Yes.
whether we call you or not?
Yes.
Okay.
That's why he's got us.
Okay.
That's what we're gonna be doing. We're really relieving our regular police officers to do police officers' business.
Right.
What we're doing, we're going out and patrolling neighborhoods and businesses and the park and all that
Now,
stuff,
I'm gonna ask you guys to do me a favor. Okay, as you go for a ride tonight, or make it a habit to go for a ride, drive through the park. Now, I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. Okay, if you would listen. First of all, we've had quite a bit of vandalism done to the shelter house. Second of all, we now have water in the pool. If you haven't been by, the pool is beautiful. We got a slide donated to us. It's painted, the water's going, I mean, it is really nice. We want to keep it nice. So as you go riding through the park, just, you know, with your husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, or both.
Good luck with that.
As you go riding through, if you see kids in the park, maybe a group of them walking around the pool area, or see someone climbing the fence, please call us. That's your park. We have probably invested in donors' money at least $35,000 up to this point. I mean, they've redone everything, and it's very nice. Help us keep it that way. Go through the park, see some kids or young adults misbehaving or vandalizing, just call us. There's only by contract, we only have 2 officers working at a time. If you get someone on arrest and taking them in to run them on a breathalyzer, the other officer's waiting for the record to come get his car, our officers are tied up for at least a half hour to an hour.
There's only 2 officers on
2 officers all the time by contract, sometimes 3, maybe 4. But now, this time of year, it's terrible for vacations. I have an officer at the academy. That's why I was so aggressive to get the next officer hired, so that I can get my 17th officer out. So help us to be the 18th officer. As you're out driving around, let us see something. That's why I'm so aggressive about building the reserve force up to at least 20 people. I like to get 10, work with Albert and Merrill, and another 10 guys, once they're trained, to go out on patrol and maybe give us that extra car out. Because even if I've got a reserve car out, I still have to have 2 merit officers out by contract. So help us, drive around, if you see something, call us. If you don't approach them, communicate it, let us approach them, that's what we do. Okay,
A lot of times just knowing somebody's watching is enough to make somebody's
yes.
not do it.
Go the other way.
That's what we had, I
That's
went
the
in,
whole point, you
That's
want
why
people
we
to
want
know
to
you're
put up
watching.
some signs.
went into Rickers the other night, there was kids every place in there. As soon as I walked in to get a cup of coffee, they,
Yeah, I was in the car, and I said, I'm gonna get a cup of coffee, it's about 11:30. So he went in, when he walked through the door, 6 of them came out and started walking down the sidewalk. And I said, well, you sure know how to break up a party?
Every night,
That's what the cashier, she said, can you stay here and come every night?
I went in Gas America a couple of times, and I've known these people for years, and they said, well, you stay about a half hour or so, because some guy was back over there in the corner.
I guess I'm not very big, but I guess I carry a little power, I don't know.
You know what you got on your side.
That's what it is.
So, before we break up, any more questions? Thank you for coming, thank you for giving us.
Communicate with us.
Yeah.
Sam, anytime they need to hold a meeting, they are more than welcome to use my church.
Thank you.